What is going on, everybody? It's your boy Aaron B, and welcome back to the season finale of the 90s Sports Movie Review. But this won't be the last time you see us again, because in about a week or two, we're going to be back with Hard Knocks with the Buffalo Bills. But I got my co-host on the other side of me, Jeff. How's it going, Jeff?
Great, man. Great, man. We had a great chat with you before the show started. I know we missed a week, but what an absolute pleasure it was to watch this movie and to get. I haven't done a show on this movie. I've done a show on most of my all-time movie list, and I hadn't done this one, so thanks for inviting me on to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like this is the perfect movie to do the season finale on. It's a really good movie. I don't care how many times you watch this movie. You enjoy it every time you watch it. It's not one of the movies you'll get tired of. Your eyes are into the movie. Some drama, but then it's that camaraderie of football and stuff.
Yeah.
And we're going to deep dive into it. And I didn't realize this movie is 25 years old.
Isn't that crazy? This is the 25th anniversary.
Yeah, when I looked at it, it said 2000, like 2000. and what I advise everybody to do, like all the guys that are playing on this team, look how old they are now compared to what they are. Like,
yeah, they're about 70 years old.
That's true, because Denzel is about 72.
Oh, yeah, you're talking about the actors. Yeah, even the actors themselves. Yeah, good point.
Oh, yeah, the real players are my parents' age. I think they're like 73 or 72.
Yeah, they'd be about 70 years old. Yeah, you're right. Except for Ryan Gosling, he hasn't aged a day since this movie. I don't know what that guy's on or what he's taking. What's that? Kobe used to fly over to Europe on the off days. Ryan Gosling must make that Europe trip every now and then. I don't know, but anyway. Yeah, you're right. I couldn't. That was actually what stuck out the most. Is right before I hit play and I looked at the screen and saw that it was the year 2000. I was like, wow, I've loved this movie for half my life. I mean, I'm 50 years old and I've still loved it for half my life. So it really caught me off guard. And also, that aside, it's held up so well. You can watch like this movie is not dated at all. It's a period piece, but even like the acting and everything is really held up. It's not like the Mighty Ducks look like a movie made when it was made and things like that. This movie if it was made yesterday, would be awesome. Especially with Denzel, got that little tight dude going, man. I loved it.
Yeah, like that is like you said, this movie it doesn't date. It goes back into a period, and there's nothing in the movie where you can see today in this movie. I wish we kind of get back to bringing out more sports movies like these. I know there's a lot of sports history out there to be done.
Yeah, that's a great point. We seem to have kind of a run of them. I mean, when I think of you had this movie come out. I mean, say 2000, 2010. I'm pretty sure we had like Friday Night Lights. We had the Gridiron Gang.
Yeah.
We had the one the Long Shots, which is a hugely underrated football movie with Ice Cube, and all these just seem to be like. Week after week after week is what it felt like. I know it wasn't. And then now it does feel like we're in a lull of like the studios are, we've had a few come out on Netflix. Actually, me and you did the one about,
Sean Payton.
Yeah, we did the Sean Payton movie. Some of those have come out, but as far as like telling the story of a team, of a certain team, fact or fiction, and letting us buy into it, it really does. It just doesn't feel like we do it as much anymore. Maybe another wave will be coming soon, but sports movies never get old because sports never change. I don't care what the technology, I don't care the athletes change. Inside the locker room, which is what this movie I think captures, even above the social issues, it captures a football locker room and the interaction between players and coaches and the animosity and the friendships and all that. That never changes. I don't care what the uniforms look like. I don't care, what the music sounds like. That never changes. So maybe that's why we don't have more, is because they're like, I don't know, why make another one when you could just watch Remember the Titans?
Yeah, I get that, but it'd be kind of refreshing to kind of see that back as sports fans, just especially seeing
like you said, just a story.
Yeah,
this was a story wrote by a middle linebacker that was on the team is how this started. and it became this movie. It's like just a story of one team of one season. You don't have to get more complicated than that, and we love it. Just like Friday Night Lights is another one. So I don't know.
Yeah, you brought up a good point. Is like it's usually just a season, but it almost felt like it's 3 years going through a whole year. But then when you figure out, like, dang, they literally just made a 2-hour movie based on a couple of months or so.
I believe they played like this. The team played. They were only like. Didn't they say they were like 5-0 going to the playoffs or something? It wasn't that many games.
Yeah.
And then they had the few plays. So we'll say they played 8 games. This whole movie is a training camp started August. I want to say he said, you know what? He might have said August 15th or 14th.
Yeah, I
think is what he said, which is funny. It's almost my anniversary. And then it's over, basically in October. This movie moves. That's another thing that caught me. I forget. This movie does not take a breath. Oh, there's not a moment in this movie that doesn't matter. Every slow moment means something. Every speech that everybody gets their time to like give their personal, speech or whatever. Every one of them means something. Every conversation means something. It is just cut. Like Disney knocked it out of the park on making a movie that it tells a bigger story than probably your typical Disney age customer can handle, but it also makes it enjoyable because it's just bang, bang, bang. Great soundtrack. I mean, it just flies. This movie flies for something that's telling such a big story.
Yeah. This movie has an underrated soundtrack, and then it hits a lot of social issues as well during those times, especially in the South and everything. But then they bring you back to with some like good comedy in there as well.
Yeah.
With good, like even the minor characters, you remember them. You may not remember the name, but they brought a little bit of an impact. It's like there's not like a character like I can't stand. Well, there's people you can't stand in the movie,
but on purpose.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. Not a wasted character. Even the kids in the movie, like Hayden Panettiere, drives this movie. What a great idea for them. And she's a real person. But like, what a great idea for them to let her kind of drive the movie, and like she kind of tells you the temperature of the movie and where you're at and how she's feeling, and you really understand. But what I love, I just want to talk about her character for a second. I know we're way off track here. I got you way off track already. I know you got a script, but how good is that her as an actor? I believe that she's like one of my favorite scenes is when she's watching game film with Coach Boone, Denzel Washington. This girl is probably, I'm guessing, 10 years old when she makes this movie with one of the great actors in the history of the world, and she holds her own talking about football. But keep in mind, they're not watching a real football game, so she has to act like she watched this fake game film. And you believe every second of it. I mean, as far as kids' performances go, like we needed more of her at that age. I mean, I know she did a lot of stuff, but like we needed her in the Mighty Ducks. We needed her. I know she's too old, but you know what I'm saying? Like, absolutely, it could have been a total flop because I don't think, the young lady that plays Boone's daughter she served her purpose and did a good job, and I think she's went on to be a pretty successful actor. But like. It wasn't the same way. Panettiere was just a lightning bolt in this movie, and I forgot. Like it really, really kind of grounds us. You know what I mean? Like that's the point through the movie. I'm glad they told it from her perspective and picked the right actors to do that. I mean, great choice. Again, Disney killed it with the casting.
Yeah, killed it. Yeah, when it comes to her performance, it feels like she's been acting for over a decade at 10 years old. Like you didn't see no stutter or nothing like that. She just cool, calm, and collected with Denzel Washington.
With Will Patton, great actor. And credit to Will Patton and Denzel Washington. I don't know, and I love both these guys. I don't know if you could have picked a better coaching duo to run this movie. Cool. And they got the way they interacted, the emotions, both of them. We talked about Denzel. We talked about, he got game, so we don't need to beat everybody over the head with it. But what he gets out of, we'll say, less experienced actors, it's amazing. And Will Patton did the same thing. Like I'm telling you what, it's just like a great coach does. They put that hand on the shoulder and they talk to you. And I'm sure you've had a bunch of great coaches in your life that you're like, that hit. And like, you can remember those conversations, and we remember the ones that they had with the players in this movie. Like, both of them I bought all these guys I bought as football coaches.
Yeah.
Denzel's I don't really know what, I forget the gentleman's name, but like, basically his assistant coach that was always with him throughout the movie. I know he was in what, you got his name?
I'm about to look it up right now.
Anyway, great actor, was in one of, he was, and he really just is a perfect, like veteran assistant coach to a great coach. Like again, I don't know if you haven't been in a football locker room or played on that team, you may not understand how accurate these assistant coaches were to the head coaches, but boy, did they capture that.
Yeah, that's one thing, is like, you forget these are actors because they carry the feel of like having a coach and everything.
Unbelievable.
I think it was Charles Campbell. Oh no, that was his dad. I'm still looking for him on here. Oh, it was Coach. The actor name is Gregory Allen Williams.
Yes. Yep.
I don't know why I can't find his name, but
great.
Coach Doc. That was his name.
But just like, knew exactly what their job was, and every scene they're in, it's so important for them to like be the yin and yang of these head coaches. And even, and Patton's, his right hand man, that guy did a great job, and he was kind of torn between the loyalty to his coach and the loyalty to the team. And that's what a lot of this is about. It's just like, I don't really know if they really missed on an important actor in this movie. Probably probably the one is, I think, I know we're getting way ahead, but just if we're talking about actors, I think they kind of probably, I don't think we got out of Kate Bosworth what they thought we were going to get out of Kate Bosworth, but I imagine that was a thing to where they're like, Kate Bosworth was about to be pretty famous in 2000. And so they're like, yeah, put Kate Bosworth in there. She looks the part, but I thought she was probably the only one that was a little, I didn't feel much weight, from her for as far as like, but whatever, she did her job and it was cool. And then I think we kind of wasted the woman that played Coach Boone's wife, great actress. She did a fine job, but I think honestly, I thought there could have I bet there's somewhere on the cutting room floor, there's a bigger conversation between her and him that probably is just lost, somewhere. But that's how it is. You got to get these movies. You got it under 2 hours to pack. Now this movie would be 3 hours long now.
That'd be true.
Just as far as the cast goes, like, just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, when Nicole Ari Parker, out the one that played his wife, she's already like an established actress already. And I know, like you said, I feel like the movie would have been longer if they'd gave her more stage time or anything. But I know there's probably some parts in the movie we were missing on. But like you said, it was on the money at 2 hours, and it would have probably got 3 hours.
And she got her conversation with Denzel before the final game. After, well, we'll talk about it after the main event. And she got to having a really important moment. But I kept forgetting that she's in this movie, and I was like, man, like, I know there's a bunch of stuff there. There's a conversation. I'm sure there's a conversation between, her and I don't know. Something's there, but it is. It wasn't her movie, and she did a great job. And she's a beautiful woman, by the way. Like, just that's another thing. Like, I remember her from so many movies. Just adoring her growing up. So it was good to see her again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm trying to get into. I'm thinking. I do got my notes. I see the notes as like this to carry on the conversation. We're always gonna go off.
That's all right though. We don't want to jump ahead to like the last half hour of the movie or anything.
That's true.
You do a great job of steering this. We got some things out of the way.
Appreciate you. We did start the movie off in 1981 at the funeral. We're not going to, if you haven't seen the movie, we're not going to say who's the funeral about. But then it goes back into 1971, and you see there's racial tension going on in Alexandria, Virginia. There was a shooting of a young black kid at a gas station. There, if you haven't seen like that Arkansas thing back in the 60s, you kind of get that feel, and there's a lot of racial tension going on. And then we get into the thing about the two high schools coming together and they're bringing in Coach Boone, who's from North Carolina, done a lot of great things in there. I think he was with 4 schools in 5 years.
Yeah.
And they bring him on as a coach, but they haven't told that he's going to be the head coach there in a TC Williams. So you already feel the tension going on there with the players and everything is what on both sides. But what I want to get into the tension when you seen Coach Yoist and Coach Boone in the beginning of it.
Oh, it was great, because they're basically bringing Coach Boone in to take the established. And again, they touch on this a lot. I don't love this part of the movie, but they touch on a lot that the current coach. What would you say his name was? I forget again.
Coach Yoist.
Yeah, Yoist is a Hall of Fame coach, and he's an established, successful won district championships and all these things. And they bring a coach in, and it's important, a black coach from North Carolina, which in 1971, let alone wasn't there a lot of black coaches. There wasn't a lot that were permitted to be successful, and so they bring him in kind of to steal his job. And then they have to start, Denzel has to basically be like, hey, I didn't want to be here either. But, the important thing is I assure you, I'm good enough to coach this team. And I thought Denzel did a great job of coming across as I've got to be this super coach and I've got to bring these kids along. But more importantly, I'm a football coach. I'm not the nicest person in the world. I'm not here to change the world. I am here to win championships, at the same time. And, you always, he's got, of course, that's his school. So everybody's loyal to him. And, the kids want to boycott and all these things. And really the first, like you said, the first 10 to 15 minutes of the movie is just showing us the racial tensions of the town. They're showing us the racial tensions of integration, which was a huge deal everywhere, especially I'm sure in the South. I'm not from the South, but I've seen the videos. I've heard the stories. That was a huge deal. And plus, you're bringing in, which this is a huge part of the story, that is you're bringing in kids from different schools. So I can't imagine if I was at a high school and my rival high school brought in players all of a sudden, and we had to all of a sudden be friends. So all this is going on. And plus, and then you got, the coaching staffs at will. So the confrontation is set. And again, congratulations that they hired a guy that could go toe to toe with Denzel, because he would walk over most actors in this situation. That Will Patton was up for it.
Yeah, he definitely held his own when it came to acting.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell, you almost thought they were actual real. I know that's going back. You actually thought they were real head coaches. You seemed like they had that alpha dog mentality, both sides and everything. Yeah, they had their own ways, and they're like, I'm gonna bring in my coach. You're gonna bring in. We're gonna come together as a team, and I'm gonna be the head coach, and you're gonna be my defensive coordinator. That's what Denzel brought into. You're gonna run the defense. I'm gonna run my offense. When it came to Coach Yoist, he was more into the trickery plays and everything. Mm-hmm. And he said, but when Denzel, he basically had a sheet of paper. I said, I got 6 players, and we're gonna run them efficiently and perfect. I know if you haven't watched any of the clips of him going into details about how he wants to run this team, it's out there. It's probably used a lot in a lot of movies and stuff.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. And that was a way. And this is where it kind of gets into the football part of it. That's a very classic way of running a team. It was like, we're going to run a few plays and we're going to do it perfectly, and you're not going to be able to stop us. And still to this day, at the high school level and lower, that still works. You don't have to overthink it. Execute perfectly and have good athletes, and you can win a game. And that's the thing about this team. They were really talented. They had Bertier, which we haven't talked about yet. They had Julius, which we haven't talked about yet. Great players. The TC Williams team from the previous year was a champion. They were really, really good players. So that was the thing. They weren't kind of like Friday Night Lights, but they weren't starting from the ground up. The team was underdogs based on their situation, but not their talent level. And that's where Boone knew that he could get them over the top. I don't think that's probably something I missed in the movie. They didn't dig enough into the actual coaching of the team. If you really watch it, you don't ever hear them. They call a few plays, but it doesn't really dig into the nuts and bolts of the football coach, which again, only me and you are going to love that movie. I don't blame them. But I was so curious. I'm like, okay, tell me what it was. Tell me what the plays were. But especially in 1971, I mean, I'm sure they ran the triple option to death and, beat teams senseless with their defense. And, and that's how it was.
That's funny that there's still schools out here in Texas that run a triple option and go
Absolutely. They are here too.
State champions. Because there's a high school, Liberty Hill, and Varro High School down the road from where I live. They all run that, and they always got a really good running back. I don't care if he's 5'10" or 6 feet tall or play fullback. It's the funnest thing to watch. And they literally probably run maybe 6 or 8 plays, and nobody can stop it until.
And it sucks to defend that too, because on the other side of the ball you're taking on a blocker every snap. You're on defense. Somebody is coming out to hit you, and if you wear down and miss it, and let a guy run over you, it might be a touchdown. So you're taking on all 11 defenders are taking on a blocker every play, every snap. And it's tough. And if they execute, it's hard to stop. And as long as you can play some defense, you can run that, and it still works. Yeah, it's the same here. Like there's several teams in this area that still stick to that. Our friend Stuart Brooking did a interview with a coach, and that's what his offense is. And essentially, he said it this way: he said it's very rare that you get the quarterback that can run a different kind of offense. Like when you get one of those dudes, fine. You can do whatever you want. But if you don't have that dude, this is the best way to go. And so, and again, that's Coach Boone. Meat and potatoes, play great defense, and what a great defense is. Actually, they probably don't talk about that enough. I mean, really, Coach Joyce, like his defense is what won these games. Like they were fantastic.
They were. Yeah, I want to get into the players and stuff before we get
to it.
Like when you think of Perrier, he's like this hard-nosed guy, and then you got on the other side of the end is Julius Campbell.
Yeah,
and they butt heads instantly and everything. And I don't want to jump the gun, but it's just like
it's fine.
It's almost like seeing Yoist and Coach Boone, but on the field they were basically another side of them that's going at it and everything during practice. And then you got the fun characters, the offensive line guys. I know the actor because he was in another movie, the big guy, and then 76.
They were great. I can't remember. I know I'm so bad about remembering the character. Ethan Embry is the actor's name. So he's a great character too. He's the one that comes in and like jumps into the fray. He's because I think. They use there's a couple examples, but they're kind of an army, it's Alexandria, Virginia. So it's kind of a military area. Mm-hmm. So a couple kids drop in, that came out of nowhere, which was whether that happened or not, I don't even know. I doubt it did, but it was cool. That was a great way to drop these players in that were like, hey, I'm just here to play football. And they didn't care about the black or white as much. I mean, that's how it's perceived. And the offensive lineman, they drop him in. And he's immediately like, man, I'm just here to play football. Like, that's it. And it really starts, that's when it starts kind of breaking down some of the barriers, between the teams. Really, really, really great job by him on that.
Yeah. You can see he was definitely a glue guy. Like you said, it was breaking barriers because everybody was pretty much black and white. And that's it until they bring him in, and then he's hanging out with Rev and everybody else on the team.
Rev did a great job, by the way. Yeah. I like that actor. Great job by Rev. I thought he was like, when I watched it this time, I was like, man, I forgot. Like he's really important, really selfless too. I mean, he loses his job as a quarterback, and he gets hurt and stuff, and still, there for the team. And so I'm bringing up. I just want to pause real quick. I'm bringing up IMDb so we can look at these characters' names. Okay. I just want to say right now, this movie only has a 7.8 rating on IMDb. I don't know who the 30% of people are or 20% of people are that think they don't like this movie. This is insane. This is an absolute crime. This movie is like, as far as good as it can be, as far as the ceiling of this movie, it almost bumped its head on it. This is a 9 out of 10 at least. Ridiculous to have a Denzel Washington movie rated 7.8. Anyway, I just want to say that. So whoever's whoever's giving this movie even an average rating, I don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, that's probably somebody that hates sports movies and
There you go.
yeah, because they had quite a few actors on there because they had Donald Faison.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and you had Nakari Ari Parker in there, Will Patton, Wood Harris. They had a lot of guys on.
I'm sorry, Ethan Suplee. I'm sorry, not Embry. Was the character was Louis. The offensive lineman was Louis. Yeah. That really was the glue of the team. Him and Blue. Blue was fantastic.
That's who it was.
He did a great job. He had to be 30 when he made this movie, by the way, but it doesn't matter to me. He was great.
Hey, you're not lying. There's a few of them that look like they were in their 30s and stuff. But Ryan Gosling looked like he just got straight out of high school.
Yeah. Ryan Gosling was probably close. I bet he was close to being a teenager. He probably was a teenager when they made this movie.
Yeah. Speaking of Ryan Gosling, I feel like every time he act, it felt like he was in that movie, but the way he acted was kind of like he was in The Notebook again. It was just the way he would say words, it just sounded like, okay, I'm watching you back.
He was the classic Gosling. I thought that same thing too, because here's what I said. My note was he hasn't changed a bit, and I love Ryan Gosling, by the way. I love his movies, but you are 100% right.
Like his acting repertoire, just being in drama movies and stuff, and then they kind of make fun of it in the comedy movies he's been in, but he hasn't changed a bit from his acting chops, even in that movie. He's like the way he delivers lines.
Here's a nitpick about that character too, by the way, Alan, is that when he loses his job to Pete, and his dad comes into Boone's office and says, what did he say? It was like three or four time defensive player of the week last year. Let me tell you something right now. The character that Ryan Gosling was playing did not win defensive player of the week ever. Like he was an absolute worst player on the team. So I don't know why they threw that in there. Even if that's a true story that happened, then they should have got a different actor or they should have done something. But you ain't going to come in and tell me that version of Ryan Gosling at linebacker. Of course, remember, we just talked about the offensive linebacker. Yeah. They didn't really have defensive backs, against some of these offenses back then. But regardless, that dude won defensive player of the week at he played on the same team as Gary Bertier. You're telling me that he got defensive player of the week? Ain't no way. Huge flaw in the movie. Absolute biggest mistake.
When I see Ryan Gosling, I don't see a linebacker. I see maybe at best a wide receiver.
Yeah.
But not I don't know, not even wide receiver.
You know what? That was a miss. He should have been in the movie, but he should have been like a bench wide receiver that made. Yeah. I love his character. I love the country western thing, and him rooming with Blue. I thought was a great idea. All that works, except for and even everything works until they say they could have just been like, man, he's not good enough to be on defense.
Yeah,
but they should have left that part out. Like when Petey took his job, they should have just been like, that makes sense. That's all. His dad should have been like, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of memes about Ryan Gosling being a liability in coverage. We're not lying. He's a liability in coverage. That's the reason why he got kicked.
Just almost cost him a season. My goodness. But the only good thing is he was a good enough actor that at the moment when he had to volunteer to give up his job again for Pete, it meant something. And that was cool. Like you got two great actors, Faison and Gosling, going at it. So again, nailed the cast. They should have just could have tweaked that a little. I don't know. Yeah. You never know, though. You know what? We might be underestimating Allen. Like maybe he's just a head, just a dog as a tackler. Just sacrificed his body, breaking bones. I don't know. I don't know what his upside was. It wasn't coverage.
Yeah, maybe he was he dropped down into blitz or something like that, but the coverage, no.
Maybe he's like Chuck Cecil. Do you remember Chuck Cecil?
That ain't sound familiar.
He's the dude. He's basically the reason that they kind of had to look into helmet to helmet stuff because he was the guy that would come in and just launch himself and literally try to kill wide receivers with no, head first and hit him in the side of the helmet. Yeah, he was this little scrappy white dude played for the Cardinals that it's a wonder he didn't end somebody's career. Yeah.
So he was what they call the kamikaze type of
100%. Yeah. And again, now if somebody played like that, they'd be arrested. But So anyway, maybe Gosling was a Chuck Cecil, so I'll give him a pass.
Yeah, we'll put him at that. I'm trying to think of what we already talked about. Oh, and Don Faison's character.
Great job.
He really did a great job.
Yep.
And I felt like we're gonna be jumping the gun a little because there was so much stuff going on in this movie. But you seen when Ryan Gosling was being a liability and stuff, and Coach, you always switched mode there because there was still some tension between him and Coach Boone.
Yeah.
So he put him at cornerback. I'm not. I keep saying cornerback, but a linebacker.
Yeah, you're right though. He was basically playing coverage, but he was technically a linebacker.
Yeah, and he made plays and stuff. Like it was just like that was his natural position that game, and it worked. But you seen that tension, and then you seen Joyce and Boone get in and have a conversation like, but he didn't appreciate what he did with that. It's like, how do you treat the black players like a nicer way, but you don't do the same way you treat the players from your former team?
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite conversation in the movie is when, I thought they did a good job because and I don't know how this movie didn't do it because so many movies have messed this up since. They didn't necessarily just make like, they didn't quite use like the classic white savior. Like if you ever watched The Blind Side, that is strictly a movie about thank goodness for white people. I mean, that's honest. That's the argument of these movies that like it took some white person to like this. This is where like they could have touched on that, and I love it because when that happens, when he pulls Pete to the side, it's like you can play for me, forget about the big bad coach and all that, and Denzel confronts him. Yeah. And the conversation that they have, in the office about it, and Denzel's like, I may be an ass, but I'm an ass, to everybody on the team. And then when he ends that conversation, and only the way Denzel could, when he ends that conversation, and he pauses, he's like, you think you're doing them, good, but you're crippling them. You're crippling them for life. I mean, that hits so hard. And I love that they did that in the movie to bring it back down and not make Joyce the good guy and Denzel the bad guy. They made you think like it is true. Yeah. It is true. The conversation about coddling because there is, something. And then it comes back and Joyce has to bring the hammer down on Petey, for quitting on the team and all these things. So it comes back around. So it's one of those like they were right at the edge of making the mistake, and then the movie rebounded. You know what I mean? And didn't spoil it. You at the end of it, you weren't like, good thing the white coach did this. And it didn't come that way. It was a true. That's when it was more about football. So that's why this movie holds up because they didn't just, play the white savior role like they do in a lot of movies. Well, that might be my favorite conversation in the movie. And I bet I've said that about 4 conversations already. I love this movie.
Yeah, it's a great movie, and man. At Blind Side, you thought it was a good movie, but then when you watch it,
it gets worse every time. I don't even watch it anymore, and I'm not trying to be like uppity up, but I can't.
Nah, because it's basically a fiction movie when you actually get the nitty gritty of that movie.
Yes.
So I advise people to watch the interviews and maybe. Is the book fictional in a way? Or are you getting the honest truth on that one? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I've never read. I've never read it, so not 100% sure, but again, this movie, there is a lot. Like I said, an article. I've read every article about Remember the Titans, and they do like any movie. They have to they have to bring a ton of fiction into it because it's hard to tell a story this big. But I think overall they told a pretty good, pretty lasting story. Of how things went. But I thought again they handled the coach situation very well. But Petey was awesome. Another great scene with Petey. Since we're talking about Petey, let's talk about it. I think the scene where we haven't even talked about the people didn't know who Sunshine is yet. We're talking about him. Or Sunshine, who's from California, is like, man, let's go in and get some eat and celebrate the game.
Yeah, that's good.
And Petey, that was really important because that's such a real thing that happens. And as someone like me that I don't live in my school, my football team was all white. It wasn't like we're, segregated or anything, but my team was all white. Most of the teams we play were all white. It's just not a super diverse, community that I live in. And so these are things that I might be like, hey, let's go do this. but somebody from a different area, a different culture, a different background might be like, that's not how this works. And Sunshine's like, let's go get something to eat. They go in, they refuse service because, the two black players, which, was super, I mean, I don't know how else to say it. To me, it seems like it'd be really humiliating. And I thought that was a great scene to where Petey's like, I told you. And I do think that's one of the few moments in the movie to where they get a little more serious and dig into some real issues. And I thought Faison was so important in that scene of kind of throwing a fit, which was due. I love that scene, and I thought Faison was great, and I thought Blue was great in it. And then right after that they separate again, because that's when he comes back down. And you're like, yeah, while you're playing the game and while you're on the field, things are so different, and it's no different than now. It's still the same as now. Everybody's integrated when it's a sport and all that, but like the real world is still out there waiting on you. And I just think that was a really important scene, and I'm glad they put that in the movie.
Yeah, I agree, because like you brought up, Sunshine, we'll get it. We'll introduce him in a little bit into the movie about it, but he's coming from California. He's in the South, but he's from probably a town where everybody eats everywhere. There's no tension in there. But when it came to that, seeing like, oh, come on, we can go eat and stuff. These guys are from that town. They know what it is. And basically, they kept telling him, no, everything's different because, like you said, they're on the football. They're not. The tension's still there a little bit with a couple of the players on the team, but when it comes to the majority, everybody's like, okay, we're brother. This is a brotherhood, and it's gonna be like the same on there. But he got a sad reality check that it wasn't like that in that restaurant, and then and that scene was very powerful from Don Faison. And then I can't remember what was his name again? 76, when we said it looked like he was 30 in that movie.
Blue.
Yeah, Blue.
Yeah,
Blue's kind of like the mediator between those two. He's like, he just don't know it's all good, but no, it's like you can tell that Petey been dealt with that so many times. He just got tired of it. He knows. And everything.
Yeah, that's exactly the point, and he conveyed that. And honestly, I thought really, this was on this watch. I realized how good Faison was. He plays the classic stereotypical, mouthy running back football player, which was awesome. You know what I mean? I loved it. And then he goes through a lot. Faison probably as a player goes through the most in this movie.
Oh,
he has to change position. He gets benched. He gets frustrated and quits on and walks away from his team, and all the Faison goes through more in this movie than any other player does. I mean, Rev got injured, but he didn't get yanked or anything. Sunshine has to get put in and play, but Faison really is the player that goes through the most. And then he has that incident, and it's just so he's a really important character. Like for them to recognize, man, this actor can handle this, and he did. Great. And that was coming right off of the scene to where Bertier's girlfriend is like, you don't want to be with them. This movie did have to soften that up, and I appreciate it. I get it. It's in the world to where they can probably say a lot of the stuff that people would say in Virginia in 1971. And honestly, things get said now. But I'm saying in 1971 Virginia, there was a lot of like thems. You don't want to be with them and theys. We know what they're conveying. And this was when Bertier had to kind of turn his back on his girlfriend, who just wasn't down with it, So all that happens on this night. And again, like you said, it just brings us back to earth of like, everything's not outside of when we're off the field, everything's not perfect yet, which was cool. They needed to do that.
Yeah. Like when they say them, you felt the impact of what they're saying and everything.
Yeah. I thought they did a pretty good job of softening the blow. And I don't want a 10-year-old kid to watch this movie and it'd be taken out of it because he has to hear what people would really say. I think it's more important. This is my thought. I kept thinking of like, did they soften this movie too much? And I've never been able to decide. But what I finally came up with is if it's an entry level into this conversation that people can watch and still enjoy the movie, but makes them think about real serious issues. I think it does more good than if you make an accurate rated R movie about probably what happened. It might be a great movie, but like a 10-year-old's never going to watch it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that does any good to show what happened rather than to make it a little more palatable. But again, without letting everybody off the hook. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's still some villains and bad guys and stuff in it. So I
All
thought
right.
about that for 25 years, and I finally came up with like I think they did okay.
Yeah, they did really good with it, in my honest opinion. And when you think about it, when they say it like that, you could have that conversation piece with a kid that's maybe 10 or 12 or anything
There you
like that.
go.
Yeah, like okay, this is how it was. There's still that type of tension, but that's how it was back then. But
Mm-hmm.
there's so it like how we've been bringing it up. It's a timeless movie that still you can still see to this day, and I still think you can enjoy it, but have that conversation.
Yeah.
Like it's a very smart movie, and it was a real reality with these players
Yeah.
in this movie. But it's actually, but it's like it's overall a timeless movie. That's
Yeah. Yeah. Yep.
yeah. To the next characters, I don't want to miss out on the two defensive ends, strong side, left side. Our guys, Julius and Gary. They
Man.
hated each other's guts when they first saw each other's.
And this is
And
how it would be. You know that. You've been in
yeah,
a locker room. This is
yeah.
exactly how it would be.
And the funny thing, they're both on the opposite sides of the end. Because you think that one's on offense, one on defense. No, they're both on defense, and they do not like each other. And but do it all. They were going at it and stuff. But one thing I had to write notes on what Julius said, because Gary kept saying that I'm a leader and everything. But one thing that Julius said is impact. Let me see. I'll make sure I wrote it down. Your attitude reflects your leadership. That I was like, dang, that really is a good point.
He hit him hard. He hit him hard. The great, let's just shout out the freaking great Wood Harris, by the way. Avon Barksdale plays Julius Campbell. Just an outstanding job. Great, just a great role for him. So important. Him and Ryan Hurst as Gary Bertier were absolutely amazing. Something I liked about it too. I liked that they got good size players. Like Bertier looked like a high school, like he could be a really good high school linebacker. And Avon, I call him Avon Barksdale. I love the Wire so much. Julius also looked the part. I think that really helped because like you can't have Ryan Gosling play Bertier. You know what I mean? Like, and really, if you think about it, Bertier really he carries this movie. I mean, he's in this as much as Denzel, I think. A lot of the speeches and like you said, when they're at Gettysburg and they're discussing like, and I kind of like how they do that too. Like Julius to me, when he shows up, that's the guy that I automatically was like, this is the guy I'll follow. This is the cap. This is but Bertier was the captain of the team, and Julius admitted that, which I thought was really cool. They didn't try to undercut him. He didn't try to take his role, but you nailed it when they're at Gettysburg and they're having the conversation about finally getting along, and he's like, and I thought of course, the most important thing is Bertier is letting his buddy Ray get away with, half-assing it and try to make the black running backs look bad, missing blocks on purpose, all this stuff. And, you got Julius over here who is seeing this, and, he's like, if you're a captain and you're letting him do that, then that's the type of captain you are. And Julius is like, why would I, lay it all on the line for you and all that? So really again, just this is more of a sports moment, if you ask me. I mean, I know it was based on the racial stuff, but it was really more of, if you're going to let your buddy loaf, you've lost the team. And so that was the moment. That was Julius's moment to be like, that was his moment of the movie to like really, like we talked about Faison having his. This was Julius's moment to wake Bertier up. Great job by these actors.
Yeah, he brought up some great points because the only thing that Bertier could bring up is that, okay, Julius is kind of one side of the way he played, but that's all, that's all he had on that part. But he did bring up a good point. Like the elephant in the room was literally his best friend, Ray, number 87.
Yeah.
I couldn't stand that guy, but he was a really good actor for what he.
Because we couldn't stand him, absolutely.
Yeah, like that's one of the guys I couldn't stand on the team, but it came to like him calling out his friends and everything. to earn that respect. And then when they made that big play, and you like I brought up that
what a moment.
That was the moment where you thought they were, because he thought they were having a shoving match, but you see them smiling and stuff doing that shoving matches. The coach is like, okay, now we got them together.
What a great moment, pivotal moment of the movie when they, left side, strong side. But what I also love, I mean, I know you've played a lot of sports too, and I know this moment. This is one of the moments that I circled. I was like, this seems fake. This is exactly how it happens. One play can totally change your mind about somebody you're playing with or playing against, and completely change the way you act towards each other and respect each other and move on with your lives. Like it literally can be one play. And I thought like this, I know it seemed like such fiction. If this isn't something that you've done, but we've done this. You've done this. I've done this. Like whether you're playing against somebody that you've never met or like something happens, and you're like, okay, I respect you now. You respect me. We're going to move on. We might be best friends now. Cause these are also high school kids.
Yeah.
When you're in high school, like you can change on a dime. Like you can literally change on a dime, which is really cool because this can happen. This whole story can happen as far as people like, I mean, you can instantly, because I've always said that about things like whatever kind of bigotry you have, you can literally change at any moment you want because it's all in your head. Like you don't have to like, it doesn't take you like, it takes you a long time to get off drugs or alcohol. You can stop being racist overnight. Like you can literally just wake up and be like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so this is how these things change. And I thought that was a really important moment. Love the way the coaches looked at each other. Love the way they recognized like, okay, now we've got two great defensive players. We're gonna kill somebody. And from then on, like, they did. What a great, again, credit to the actors. What a great job. What a great scene. All the speeches. I don't care. This movie has speeches galore. I love every one of them.
Yeah, there's not one speech you're like, okay, we need to take that. They should take that out. Like every speech felt like, okay, that could have been something they really said in real life.
Yeah.
Like,
because kids, we're corny like this. Like Bertier was corny as heck, but that's how we are. Like that's how your football and your sports captains are. That's why they're the captains. Tim Tebow is the dorkiest dude, but he got so much out of his team, and that was Bertier. That's what I loved about it. You know what I mean? Like it. And again, it was always his team. I did like that they kept it that way. I thought it was really important, and a credit to I know you will talk about it, but the late, Gary Bertier, I thought he deserved that, as a memorial of how important he was. So I thought they did a great job of not undermining him. And he grew as a captain. He grew as a player. He grew as a person. I thought that relationship was handled, really well.
Yeah, I agree. And we would do it injustice with this guy because everybody brings him up. If you had that guy on the football team that has the long hair, that's going to be his nickname. That is Sunshine from California when he comes into the
Ronnie Bass
when he comes to town with his dad because he was naval. I think he was a naval kid.
Yep.
And they were making fun. Was it called? Bertier was making fun of him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then after he turned his back because they were talking about, we're good at quarterback and everything. Sunshine grabs that ball, throws it, hits Bertier right in the back, and you just see, like, the coach is like, okay, this might be our quarterback.
I love it. Even Boone is like black and white as his rules are, across the board. Of course, Yost is like, I think we can find a spot, and Denzel just says, mm-hmm. Yeah, like I loved how he was like, no way. That was where it became like he still just wants to win games. Like he's not going to turn a player down because he shows up to camp late or whatever. And again, great job by this. Again, another actor that looked like a good size, like looked like he could be a high school. Well, and then of course Ronnie Bass went on to play at the University of South Carolina. He was a real, actual, Division I football player. But Sunshine's a great character. There's something I didn't remember. He really doesn't have as much run in this movie as you think. Like he doesn't say a bunch. He has a couple moments in the locker room, but he doesn't have a big pivotal speech or anything.
No.
Like his moment, he's just kind of there. So I didn't, like, as important as he is to everyone, like I kind of forgot he didn't outside. We talked about the diner scene, but he was just the instigator there. It wasn't his scene, and that's kind of it. Like he never has a moment to where him and I bet there's another one on the cutting room floor to where him and Ray had a conversation, or him and Petey had a conversation later on about what happened that night. They got cut, and so Ronnie Bass just playing ball. He's like,
and when I was thinking of what player he reminded me of, and he's a guy that you know pretty well because he played against your son, and I don't know why he gives me Joe Burrow vibes in a way.
So that's funny that you say that. So I'm going to tell you a story. So I meant to text you and said, don't let me forget to say the Joe Burrow story. So Joe Burrow, yes, his senior year here in Ohio, he wore frosted tips. He was a talkative, flamboyant guy, just like he is now. No different. Great quarterback. And so later on in this movie, I jumped to it in the championship game. They decided to put some of their best offensive players on defense because they were getting cooked, in the championship game, and they need more athletes in the defensive backfield. So it's funny you say Joe Burrow, because so what happens? My son's last high school football game in the playoffs, they're playing Joe Burrow. The game's getting late. I think we're down by a couple touchdowns, so it's time to air it out or nothing. So we get the ball. We come back in on offense. I think Athens had just scored. Come back in on offense. We had a really good team. I mean, my son's team was really good. Had a couple, really good wide receivers, but we had a fantastic wide receiver on the outside. He was about 6'3", speed, everything. So we come out on offense, and who is the quarterback out of nowhere covering this guy but Joe Burrow? He hadn't played defense the entire game, and he comes out and goes man-to-man with our best wide receiver. So, of course, you got to go at him. You got a new cornerback in there that hasn't played. Maybe you catch him. So we go deep, deep fade route down the sidelines. And what happens? Joe Burrow jumps up, gets an interception. So that's the kind of player that Joe Burrow was. So when they put Ronnie Bass in this game, people might think that is fiction, that all of a sudden you can just grab a guy and put him in on defense. Nope, that is exactly what happened. Joe Burrow sealed his own game by getting an interception on our best receiver. So you are correct. That is a correct analogy.
Yeah, because people don't think that happens, but that happens in high school football.
Oh, it happens all the time.
All the time. If there's like a superstar player on the team, he could basically play any position he wants to, and he could be half-assing it. But when you see it, like, hey, he just really just make this big play.
I totally agree. I saw that, and I'm like, I bet people think this is fake, but it is not.
Yeah, because basically all it is a 100% instinct. They know where the ball is, and they got the ability to do it, and they'll make big plays.
We played against another kid, Darren Lee. I don't know if you remember him. He wound up playing for Ohio State, played for the 2014 National Championship game. So Darren Lee, we played him a couple years in a row. He played defense. Well, his senior year, he starts at quarterback because he's just by far, he winds up being an NFL linebacker, by the way. Yeah. So they put this kid, at quarterback. And that was the difference. They switch him over to quarterback, and he's just such a great athlete that it didn't matter. Like, there was nothing you could do. And he winds up knocking us out of the playoffs. These guys are freaks. They're freaks.
What class was his team in?
We were division. Then I think we were 2. So you would be. We do like 1 is our biggest. So that makes sense.
Oh, okay.
You guys do like 5A.
Yeah, 5A, 6A.
I think we're opposite you guys. So like 1 is the biggest. So we were 2 then.
Okay, so about 5 or 4A basically.
Yeah, and then now they added another, like we've got like a super division now. So like in our top division, there's only like 16 schools. It's kind of weird. And then it goes like 2 through 7. And so now like most of the Division 2 schools are 3 now. So it's kind of weird. But the biggest schools playing that 1 up there, and they're ginormous.
Man, that's interesting.
It's different how they changed it a few years ago.
That's true. I'm over here trying to remember what we got into the sunshine conversation. I'm trying to remember what we were getting into. We did get.
Yeah, we talked about Ronnie Bass showing up, kissing Bertil in the mouth. Pretty funny.
Oh, yeah, that was the hilarious part. It's like before we got with Sunshine, he was the man of mind games, because I want to get into that game they were playing, where he got into the game after Rev got hurt.
Yeah.
And he told was Ethan Suppley, his character, hey,
Oh,
don't
yeah.
block for me. And this he was like, what? No, listen to me. I know what he's like. Okay,
Yeah.
we got this. And when he let him go, that I don't know if he was a defensive tackle for Groverton.
Yeah, he was a defensive end, supposed to be the meanest, best defensive end in the league.
He actually looked like he played NFL football the way.
Yeah, good size. That's what I said. A lot of these players had good size to them.
Yeah, he was like about 6'4", 260. He
Yeah,
came
he was
off
a big
that
dude.
line. Came off that line. Sunshine ducked over, lifted him up, and he went on the ground. And they had to basically everybody on the team had to carry him off. And then the coach was like, "Is that legal?" And the ref said, "You know he's a quarterback, right?" So
yeah, he wanted to throw a flag. And he's like on the quarterback. But what was great about that, and you just touched on it, when these again, Ronnie Bass was a Division I, football player. Like when these guys get in, they're different. That is very likely that that quarterback would have been Ronnie Bass was probably the best athlete on the field. In all honesty, so I thought he really carried. I thought he had a little swagger with him, and then he just turns and points at him. That was great. You know what? That was his moment. You're right. That was Sunshine's moment.
Yeah, that scene and the other scene, that's where I got the Joe Burrow vibes with him. It's like his personality. Like
you're 100% right.
Okay, I was trying to figure out what does Sunshine remind me of, but that was the first thing I could think of.
It jumped off, and again, I watched Burrow in high school a few times, and that you are 100% right. He was, you knew who the man was on the field every time he played.
Man, imagine if we do a Hard Knocks on the Bengals. That would be an interesting one.
Oh man, if they let him swear. Anyway, we'll find out what happens this year.
Fingers crossed they kind of go back to normal, but. I wanted to get into the scene. Oh, this scene kind of pissed me off with Coach Titus of that. Oh, no, it was that team. Coach Titus of that team. You remember he had that interview about playing against Coach Boone, and he was called. He's gonna knock the chocolate off and off everything else about the players and everything. He was just dirty and nasty. But at the end of the game, when everybody's shaking hands and stuff, and Coach Titus would not shake Coach Boone's hand, and Denzel said, "Hey, Coach," hands him a banana. If you know what that means, it was like,
what? Yeah, he actually during the interview, he actually said he referred to Coach Boone as a monkey.
Yeah, I was like, they really said that on TV, but
that was there you go. That's probably like I know that's as I guess that's as how do I want to say it? That's as volatile as they got. But again, credit to Disney. I do remember watching that scene, and I'm like, man, I'm like credit to them for putting it in there, a little bit of reality. And that, I mean, I'm 100% sure that happened consistently back then.
Yeah, it probably was out in the open because you think, okay, man, they caught him off. He thought the camera was off, but I was like, oh no, he probably said it was on his mind because he's probably arrogant enough to think, like, okay, we're gonna beat this
100%.
Yeah, but that was a pretty funny scene by Denzel handing him that banana and walking off. I was like,
and then again, Denzel, he's played in so many of these. I mean, Denzel, he's played. I mean, Denzel played in freaking Glory. You know what I mean? Like he's never. He played Malcolm X for goodness sakes. Like he's never shied away from these types tension based movies and all that. So again, the perfect guy to. And I thought as much as you want to just like knock the guy out, so to speak, like that is also something that, and as a coach, you can't do that. I mean, you're supposed to, whatever. There's always been an argument whether, people in that situation should take the high ground or not. They got to make their own choice. I wouldn't have any idea. You know what I mean? I'm never put in that position, but what you want him to do is just knock him out. But he did the right thing and you beat him on the field, which is the worst. Well, honestly, it's the worst thing you can do to him. So yeah, that was actually nice and that's one of those two. They dropped that moment in, and again, the 10-year-old that we're talking about or whatever, if they're just watching a football movie and like the music and having fun, that'll just pass them by, and they can watch it when they're 16. It may mean more. So I thought that was put in there for like us, you know what I mean? But if you miss it as a kid, you know what I mean? Or again, if that kid asks you, why do you give him the banana? Then you got to have that conversation. But if he's just like when my son first watched this movie and he was probably 5 years old, it wasn't time for that unless he asked, you know what I mean? So it kind of grows with you. That's another movie that kind of grows with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's definitely a scene where you'd had that conversation if it was asked and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But
Yeah.
it was a pretty much a good way instead of like he's brought up. At least he didn't try to swing at the guy. Like if you had somebody
Yeah.
banana, that just probably the camera, nobody probably caught it. Just him and the coach and everything, or
There
whoever.
you go. There you go. But and again, in 1971, that would have been, oof. I mean, that coach would have been upset. So
Yeah,
I thought it worked. I thought the moment worked.
yeah. Absolutely. Let me. We're kind of getting into okay. After that scene, this is probably one of the saddest parts of the movie. Is
Oh.
basically the Gary Gutierrez car scene where he's basically talking to his girlfriend and stuff. They basically breaking up and all that's going on. They just won the big game, and he invited Julius. Oh, let's go out, but Julius wanted to hang out with his girlfriend and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody in town was like all the high school, all at the square or whatever they're at. All like, yeah, and then you see Gary in this brand new 1971 Camaro zooming past, and then the scene where this car hits him, and it's like that.
Which really happened. I mean, Gary Bertier, was paralyzed in a car accident. Man, but I tell you what, there's like as many times I've watched this movie, every time it's upsetting. Like it works every time. And I guess maybe it's because it was a real human. Maybe that makes it,
That's true.
As time goes on, you're like, this happened to somebody. But man, like as soon as I see him waving by, to the crowd or whatever, and he hits the gas, and it's going to happen. Like again, as far as the movie goes, because a lot of times we get away from talking about the movie part. It works great. The sound, the filming, you get the impact of it. See everybody rush into the car, and then the next thing you know, they're in the hospital. And then you forget, like as you're watching the movie, you're feeling so good, things are going so great that you forget that this is going to happen. I really like, even though I knew it was going to happen, it was completely out of my head. And then as soon as I see him like waving by, I'm like, oh no, like, you just want to stop him. Just stop the car, Gary. But that's not how life works. And sadly, he made the best of it. He wound up, he was paralyzed. If anybody doesn't know, he wound up being a Olympic athlete, and in the Paralympic Games, and won gold medals, and then was tragically killed, in a car accident 10 years later. I mean, just a couple tragedies happened to the same person sandwiched inside, a great lifetime, that young man. But definitely heartbreaking, to say the least.
Yeah, because every time you watch Remember the Titans, you're like, oh, we got to go through that scene. And then you're having a good time, and then you see that, like you brought up about the wave, and you're like, oh, here it comes. But this one to end off on that part is like the scene where Coach Joyce, he's kind of the more emotional coach and everything. And he's like, all right, everybody, let's all say a prayer. And then Gutierrez interrupts him like, Coach, I'm not dead. I'm hurt.
Yeah. Great scene. Again, Bertier carried this movie, the actor doing a great job. And he's like, we need to talk about how to win this game. And that was the type of person that he was, because he, like I say, he went on to win, gold medals and compete the rest of his life. I thought that was another tribute to the spirit of the real, human that was Gary Bertier in this movie. So I really enjoyed that they showed. I know it's tough in the movie for him to be like, one day he's got to be in the accident, and the next he's got to be already talking about, but they have to they have to start that conversation. I doubt that he was 2 days after the accident was already ready to compete in a wheelchair. There's a lot of processes and surgeries, but they had to do that, and I'm glad they did. So then you can tell people like, yeah, that guy went on to be, this didn't stop him. Great moment. Great moment with him and Julius. I mean, honestly,
that was a great
moment. Him and Julius at the bedside. Great moment when he says, the nurse says, this is only family. And he says, can't you see the resemblance? That was a cool moment. You know what I mean? Between, you don't have to look alike to be close. And he said, that's my brother, and things like that. And again, in a football season, you could absolutely become that close with somebody. Like that's a real thing that happens. I mean, in high school. So great moment by those two great actors again. Just what a great scene. What a great moment by both of them.
Yeah, it was never a wasted scene with those two in that movie. Like, great. I know we're gonna keep bringing it up. It was greatly casted with those two actors at point. Like,
But it's
I'm
important to
glad.
bring up because you can't mess that up.
Mm-mm.
If you mess this casting up, this becomes a terrible movie.
Yeah.
It becomes cheesy. It just wouldn't work.
Yeah, like shout out to all the directors and everything, picking the cast and because they did a really good job. Like, and it set some stepping stools for like quite a few actors in this movie, and then some actors that had some solidified acting careers already. Like everybody seemed like they had multiple years of experience, but some probably only this could have been their first movie or their second or third one.
I'm just surprised there was a sports movie that didn't have Omar Epps in it. I'm surprised they didn't squeeze him in here.
That's true. Well, he was running them he was in almost every sports movie in the 90s.
He was. Oh, you know what we should have done this summer was the program. That's what we should have done.
That's next season. We're gonna have to put the program, and I'm thinking The Longest Yard is our comedy movie.
But to touch on also the Bertier accident, I also thought, coming out of it, when the two coaches are discussing about how to move forward, obviously Yost you can tell he's kind of like feels like nothing's important now. Like this is what's important. And when Denzel Washington gives the speech of like, I'm a winner, I'm going to win, I'm not going to stop. You know what I mean? And then, but I like how because Coach Boone was notoriously like he wasn't a perfect human being as far as like, he was a coach and a winner and all these things. And it made you have the conversation like, man, is that all he cares about? Is that the right decision? And then he has that conversation with his wife, which we talked about much earlier in our show. Yeah. And that was the moment when you're like, he's like, man, and he kind of questioned like his drive. Is he losing sight of what's important? But, I thought that was really important for those coaches to have that conversation and talk about how you move forward with tragedies because these things happen all the time in the real life. You know what I mean? So I remember Ohio State in 2014, they sadly lost a player right before during the Big Ten championship game. They didn't know where this player was. And then he was discovered dead, after that. And, obviously nothing, that's way more important than the game. But then you got to keep playing. Like the season doesn't stop. So I thought that was an important conversation to have. And that's another one that's like a lesson to an athlete, like a young athlete that might be watching, can also have that conversation. And, and who knows it? We don't know if it was right or wrong. Should they have stopped? Maybe they shouldn't have played. Maybe they should have. Nope. Like it's whatever decision you make and you stick with it. So I thought that was cool that they actually squeezed that in there. And these are things that they could have dropped. I don't know who the football consultant was on this movie. They nailed it because there's so many little things that we see in all these other movies we watch that they don't pick up on. But these little things behind the scenes and in the locker room and in the coaching room that only like the players and the coaches that have ever done it know about. How they captured it was really a credit to them for doing their homework.
Yeah, because you definitely could tell the consultant in this movie had football experience, had been around a football locker room, a good chunk of their life because they got all the little tidbits that go along in a football locker room. It wasn't like over dramatized or something like that. Certain movies like okay, this don't really happen in the locker room. You're kind of overdoing it, but no, they hit everything.
There's just a few little things along the way, like when the team decided to get together and do like a different intro and a different warm up. I mean, that's one of the funnest parts of the movie when they do their "We Are the Titans" dance. I mean, that's a cool moment. There's several of those along the way that we couldn't touch on every little thing, but like the Mama Joke locker room scene is fantastic as far as like. Now don't get me wrong. I never told any of your mama jokes because you just never know. But that's still how you act towards each other in a locker room. So that was important. There's the Julius going to meet Bertier's mom moment.
Yeah.
Like there's Julius talking to the cop. I thought that was a great moment. It probably isn't aged as well as it should, but that's another conversation starter. Like. Someone picks up like, why is he worried about talking to a cop? Like that's a conversation.
Yeah, that's another conversation.
And again, that's one that you would have different than I would have. You know what I mean? But it's still a conversation. So there's so many little conversation starters along the way, but they didn't like beat you over the head with it.
Yeah.
And again, they didn't let everybody off the hook. I was kind of worried about that. I was like, well, everybody can't be fixed. I thought the girlfriend, I told my wife, like, as we were watching it, like, she goes up and shakes Julius's hand. I'm like, nah, she ain't over it. Like, she's still the same. She's still the same, 50 years later as she was that day. Ray, the kid they threw off the team, still racist. Like, they didn't let him off the hook, though. Like, he didn't come back later in the movie and say, man, I've changed my ways. No. Like, he stayed a jerk through the whole movie, and he's probably still a jerk till this day if he's still alive, or you know what I mean? So I thought it was kind of nice that they didn't let everybody off the hook. Restaurant owner, like, I don't think they ever went back.
Yeah.
And, like, he was all like, I want to say one more thing about this movie I thought was great. I thought the montages were fantastic, where they put, like, the clips of, like, what was happening through the season up to the music. But when you watch them, it was all new footage. Like, the footage they were showing you, like, was new stuff. So I thought the montages, there was about 3 of them throughout the movie, were even the montage at the end of the movie. I thought they did a great job with, like, that.
Yeah, they did good montage and everything in this whole movie, and like with the photography and everything, and like it. There's nothing really bad I could say about this movie.
No,
like, you hate characters, but like, okay, but at least you kept to your character throughout the movie. You didn't try to like, oh, we're buddies now. Like, no, you were a jerk the whole movie. Don't switch over now at this point.
My tiny nitpicks with the girlfriend. I just didn't. That didn't do anything for me. I understood what they were trying to do. I just didn't think it worked, to be honest with you. Maybe that's Kate Bosworth's fault. I don't know. I think a different actress maybe pulls it off. Nothing against her. I'm just saying I just didn't feel it. And then when she goes up and finally shakes Julius's hand, that's one of those moments to where, like, that's one of those moments too, to where I'm like, if I'm Julius, I'm like, I ain't got time. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, like, that was probably the only moment in the movie to where I thought they made the black player let somebody off the hook. And I don't know if she needed to be let off the hook, but whatever. That's what they decided to do. That I didn't love that. And the storyline about Coach Joyce going into the Hall of Fame, that whole thing, I don't really care about it. I understand they were trying to establish what a great coach he was and what he was. They were trying to, basically, the whole thing was they were trying to make Coach Boone look bad and then get Joyce back in.
Yeah.
And Joyce didn't want to play that game. But I don't know if I cared a ton about the whole Hall of Fame thing and all that.
No.
But it wasn't bad. It's just a tiny nitpick that, when it comes up after the game, we took a straw poll and you're not in the Hall of Fame. That's when Joyce probably should have been like, I don't give a flying bleep. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah. I didn't like that part. It's like, he didn't want a big game. Oh, let's bring him down. Say, you're not going to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, if that's going to get me out of the Hall of Fame, oh, well, because I don't want to be in no crap Hall of Fame.
There you go, right there. And it's plus right at the end of the game. And that was kind of weird. But I know they were, I don't know. I'm sure. That didn't, like, land with me. Like, I didn't really care. I'm like, he's going to be fine. He's like, if he wants another coaching job, just go coach somewhere next year. And he's going to get in the Hall of Fame. Like, it's 1 year of his life. It's not that big a deal. So I know they showed he was, like, standing up for his team or what was right or whatever, which I did like the speech. When he goes out and gives the ref the speech, he's like, I'll have you all thrown in jail. I don't care. That was fine. So that was cool. But overall, that part, whatever, it was fine.
Like I said, there's no nitpick though. The only thing before we end the show is, like, do you remember when they said Coach Boone loses a game, he loses his job, and it goes to yours? It's just like he was on a short leash. That's why you could see the intensity when it came to Coach Boone. Like, he's trying to keep his job because he can't even afford to lose one game. One game he's fired. Like, you don't really see that often with coaches, but that just showing you the racism that was going in at that time. Like, we're gonna give you this coaching job because there's a lack of a diversity here, but if you lose this game, we're gonna give it to yours.
Now, as much as I didn't like how they told the story of that, that's a good point. I did like that they showed a little bit of the behind the scenes, like
Yeah.
of all the dudes, on the football club or 12th man club, whatever they call theirs, kind of getting together and conspiring against, Coach Boone, because that's the stuff that really happens. Like that's the racist stuff behind the scenes that nobody sees, as far as the manipulation, of getting coaches fired and thrown out, or and all those things. So that's another part to where I'm glad that they, Disney had a little guts of saying, these are what, all these people do behind the scenes to undermine black coaches, which still happens to this day, by the way. I mean, it
All right.
happens all the time. Like, it's his black coaches historically, have can mess up less than their white counterparts. I mean, I'm not telling a secret here, but I kind of like that they did show like behind the scenes, like how that goes down. Amongst the people in charge, especially when the people in charge all look the same way. So I thought it was cool to touch on that, and because that's a huge. They told it in a kind of a funny, quick story, but that's a major issue amongst programs, and whether it's a business or whether it's anything like that, that's what happens in the boardrooms, and
Yeah.
when people are hiring and stuff like that, to hold minorities down. So at least they touched on that, during the movie.
Yeah, because the way we're talking about it, like you would think it was a long thing. No, it was maybe about 2 minute discussion, and they went into it. Like if you pay attention to the movie deep into it, you could see that scene. Like it just showed the harsh reality of what goes on.
Yeah, that's a great way to say it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a quick 2 minutes, but before we end the show, I wanted to get into this was our last show, 90s movie sports review. So I just want you to rank these our four movies.
We did four great movies.
Yeah.
I put the Mighty Ducks at 4. No disrespect, but obviously didn't have the impact on me. It doesn't have the social impact. It was a fun movie. I did enjoy it, but I put it at 4. This is so tough because we did 3 of my favorite movies that have ever been made, and so I'll go ahead and put He Got Game at 3. And the only reason I say that is I might enjoy it, but I enjoy it more as not as much as a sports movie. I don't think it's as good as the next 2 I'm going to talk about, but I enjoy like the art, the artistic of it and the present. I enjoy it more as the movie making than I did as a sports movie, because there's less sports in it. I mean, let's face it, the only game is between him and his dad, compared to like The Sandlot or compared to Remember the Titans. So I know it's crazy to say it came in at 3, but it is what it is. At 2, I put The Sandlot. We talked about it on the show. Absolute classic. And again, timeless. That's another thing. The difference is like He Got Game's a great movie, but I don't know that everybody ever needs to see it. I don't know if it told any type of story that's going to change anything. I think it's a particular story but like if you don't want to raise your kids when He Got Game, I totally understand that, even though I did. You know what I'm saying? As to where these other 3, like, any athlete or young person, I think, can get something out of it. Sandlot was great. Tells a great story. And again, it's timeless. The movie will never get bad, just like Remember the Titans. And then at number 1, I put Remember the Titans for everything we just said. There's just too many good scenes, too many stories to take out of it, too many bigger conversations to be had. It's 25 years. I don't know anybody that thinks it's getting old or doesn't love it if they loved it then. So I got the Titans at number 1.
Yeah. So basically, the only thing I like the ranking for sure. The only thing I switched was I had Sandlot at 3, and I had He Got Game.
Oh, you like He Got Game? You put it a little higher.
Yeah, and I think it's for the artistic standpoint, but you did bring up a great point. There wasn't much sports in it. Like you seen practice scenes in between the game between him and his dad.
Yeah.
But in Sandlot, you seen baseball majority of the time. And
I would say if I had to, the reason I would probably pick the difference is just the one game where they played the kids from the other side of town. That one game is probably what put it over the top as far as it was just a bigger sports moment than anything in He Got Game.
Yeah, like between the 2, it's just about this very, very.
Oh, me too.
Because when I think of Sandlot, almost had me at 2 because what I don't like is the stereotypical villains, and they didn't really have a villain. They just had
Yep.
kids playing baseball that talked a little mess,
Yep.
and then they moved
Oh,
on.
it was so good. I mean, we're talking about three of the great movies of all time, not just sports movies of all time. Mighty Ducks was a good movie. It's not going to go down as one of the great movies of all time. These other three go down as some of the great movies of all time.
And one thing about saying like that, Fourth of July scene is one of the most iconic moments.
Yeah, honestly, the Remember the Titans. That's something I noticed too. Like as good as the movie was, the football on the field scenes weren't great. If you really watch them, like they were kind of close shot and kind of muddled. I mean, they were good, and with the montages, they were good, but it wasn't, the actual footage of it wasn't fantastic, so to speak. But still, I mean, such a great movie. How can you not put? And I still got a Denzel movie at number one, so I can't lose here.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess when it comes to Remember the Titans, they showed scenes of guys that probably played college football stuff. Like, because I looked it up, the one that was the actor for Sunshine, he played football at Yale. I think.
Okay.
His name is Kip Purdue. I want to.
Really, I didn't know that.
I'm trying to make sure that I had a list out here. But anyways, he played football at Yale. So
that's awesome.
Because he looked like a former football.
Yeah, and not a bad actor. He's been in some stuff that I've liked over the years.
Yeah, absolutely. But before I let you go, we're bringing back our fourth or fifth season of.
I think we decided this is 5. I think this has to be 5.
5.
We did Cowboys, we did the Jets, we did the Lions, and we did the Bears.
Yeah.
Even though maybe we feel like we're doing 4 because the Bears season was so bad that maybe we feel like we just forgetting that one. So
that was like the least memorable one. Like there wasn't anything quotable, but like I feel like the most memorable one we had was with the Lions.
The Lions was great. Cowboys one was pretty good.
Yeah.
The Lions was our best one. The Jets was weird because that was Aaron Rodgers off season when they got Aaron Rodgers, so they did a lot of weird stuff there.
Yeah,
but the Lions was definitely the best one that we've done.
Yeah, it was a lot of Aaron Rodgers glazing, and it was too much. And I think that was the last time we seen the narrator because he didn't even come back for the Bears one.
Lee Shriver.
Lee Shriver said, "No, I ain't doing the Bears. Maybe he'll come back for the Bills."
Oh man, I think this one's going to be good.
Like they can't mess it up because they got a lot of personalities there. You got Josh Allen.
Yeah, well, last year was just a fluff piece for Caleb Williams, if you remember.
Yeah,
it was just like every show was about Caleb Williams already being. It just didn't make any sense.
I just said I kind of nodded off on a couple of the shows. I had to.
It was bad, dude.
I was trying to watch it, but just make Hard Knocks how it was, raw and uncut. And just the way it is. It's on HBO for peeps' sake. It's not on.
Yeah, Caleb Williams threw one touchdown, and they were going to go to the Super Bowl. And by the way, we were right. The Bears were just as bad as we thought they were. And the coach did get fired.
I can't laugh too much. He's our defensive coordinator now.
Oh, that's right. You said that. Well, you might be all right there. I don't know.
Yeah, he's a good defensive coordinator, but him being head coach, no. There's certain coaches that are good at being an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator. He's one of those guys.
Why don't I know who your head coach is?
Oh, it's Brian Schottenheimer.
Of course.
Marty's son.
Marty's boy. Oh, man. And you know what? Dude, Cowboys are going to be good this year, though. Yeah. I think their offense is going to be really good. I think Pickens is a get.
Yeah, I'm actually happy what they did this all season because these couple other all season they went that well, but this one.
What you think about your boy Parsons and the sumo wrestler? That was fantastic.
Yeah, I don't mind his antics and stuff because he puts in the work and he still goes.
Yeah, he's a defensive player. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, long
just go kill the quarterback.
Yeah, like his job is simple. It's not. If it was Dak doing that, okay, then we got a different story. But if a defensive player is having fun but still getting the work in, go ahead.
I have a good feeling about the Cowboys going into the season. I mean, I don't have a dog in the fight, but I just something feels right about makeup. I really, of course, we've talked about it. McCarthy, I really thought held him back, just attitude wise, and just something was wrong there. And I think it's going to be a good season.
Yeah, I've been hearing good things about Schottenheimer. It's about culture is his main thing, and building relationships with the team. But I want to see what it looks like on the field. So I'm interested to see what they look like this year.
Of course.
We could have a lot of Cowboy talk and stuff, but I'm excited for Hard Knocks. I can't wait to see what the Bills are. Hopefully, it's back to the old ways. We get.
We should only be a couple weeks away, right? A couple weeks.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be in that top two. Maybe it could beat the Detroit Lion one, but we'll see. Dan Campbell and gang put the bar pretty high, and nobody's beat us since we've been doing this.
That's true.
Sir, but this has been Tacos and Touchdown live 90s Sports Movie Review. We'll be back in a week or two. Well, I'll probably do another show in between, but me and Jeff will definitely be discussing Hard Knocks for sure. But y'all have a good one. Peace.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Helps the channel grow.